Okay.
This is the broadcast. We've got Cygnus, Sigs Butler, and I'm Amy Walsh, Amy Dubs Walsh, and we've got Shireen Salty Ahmed. Shireen, do you want to explain to the lovely viewers and listeners the little play on words that's kind of disguised here? Oh no.
Shireen frozen.
Shireen's camera went away at the most inopportune moment. Oh, Christ.
Come back to us, salty Shireen.
Oh, there she is.
I'm so sorry. This internet, I was about to hotspot because it's terrible. I'm at Toronto Metropolitan University.
You're our hotspot.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, so I'm salty because my name actually in Persian means, and in a variety of languages also means sweet. So I thought it would be great and a little nod to the patrie of, where the ocean is. I am a big fan of oceans, so I thought it would be appropriate. And it's a cute name.
I like it. I'm trying to figure out why our name tags today are in blue and not in green. I don't know. I can probably change that.
Maybe it's because we have a Tides guest today.
Oh, there we go. So it's weirdly appropriate.
Intentional.
It's kind of like a blue purple. So it's kind of like Tides colors. It's like you planned it, Amy.
Yeah.
Yes, I did plan it. Anyway,
and this weird gray haze in the background of my coloring is also a nod to the ocean on a foggy day.
Those are just my roots, actually. Okay, so in about 10 minutes, the legendary Erin McLeod will be joining the broadcast as she announced her retirement a few weeks ago now due to a season-ending foot injury. And also, actually, maybe before we start into our best 11 of week 23, it might be a good time to chat about another retirement. So the lovely Desi Scott. So two really key pieces, bridges between national team fans and new fans for NSL, or the continuity between the two. I think Quinn was another one in that group. Really, really critical pieces to starting this league off on the right foot. And Desi Scott announced her retirement this week. Shireen, I know you wrote an article about it, and then the two of you interviewed her. So why don't you go first, Shireen? It's hard to dive into everything that she's meant to the game here in Canada, but maybe just a little bit about this season and your chat with Desi.
Yeah, I didn't write about Desi yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, but Sig and I did speak to her together, which is always fun. And she's just lovely. So Sig and I really truthfully, journalistically approached this with the highest of intentions to try to make her cry. That was the bar.
That was the goal.
That was the bar. But she's very sensitive, and you could tell it was emotional. And there's things about her recollections and anecdotes are so beautiful. But she's also really, really, truly enveloped herself in gratitude. And that is something that is so lovely, that she's happy she got to play here. She wouldn't change a thing. My questions to her were a lot about leadership and who does she see? She shouted out, "Oh, Scott. Oh, Scott." And just, it's really, when you think about it from like a background on soon, for them to look back, and a lot of them wanted to leave the game in a better place than they came to it. And when you look at what is here now, like, I can't imagine that sense of pride and accomplishment that they all must feel in addition to what they did on the pitch. So I'm sort of inflecting and being a bit whimsical and philosophical about the whole thing, but it's lovely. And Desi's she's fucking awesome. Like, she's fucking awesome.
Before Sigs goes, I want to ask you about something, because you're the journalist. I'm the pedant. Can you say enveloped as well as enveloped? Can you use them interchangeably?
I just pronounced that in my own salty way. What did you say?
Enveloped. And you said enveloped.
That sounds very Scottish to me.
Yeah.
Enveloped.
It's from New Scotland, Nova Scotia, the theme of our podcast today.
Every time we're on together, it's the theme of our podcast.
Which I love.
Sorry.
You go, Sigs. A quick word on Desi?
Well, I agree with salty Shireen down here, just to reverse roles, because she always agrees with me. But I think the biggest thing for me was, and she said this in her statement when she was leaving the game, the joy in which she played with and the joy in which she spread to her teammates, to the way she played the game, even though it was, the rugged role of defensive midfielder.
The destroyer.
the destroyer, the fact that she was also the one bringing the joy within a team culture and amongst the fans, I think is part of her legacy. So that's the only thing that I would add. And I just I mean, that's the kind of teammate you want to play with.
Yeah. And I think I'll just say, because I could say tons more on Desi, and we'll get to a chance to kind of wax poetic and embarrass Erin here in a little bit. But I think the two of them, their playing legacies have been written, but like their lifetime legacies and the impact that they'll have beyond the pitch have begun concurrently with their playing career. But I think they're only getting started in that regard. And that's really exciting for sports fans and Canadians, I think. So,
Amy, did you play with Desi?
No, I didn't get a chance to. There was actually zero kind of crossover. I had Jack at the beginning of 2010, worked to come back, and then I think Desi came in at that point when I was away. So not even any camps or anything. We certainly didn't share the pitch for an international game, but not even any camps in common. So I've gotten to know Desi laterally through Rian Wilkinson and through Diana Matheson, who are very good friends of hers. So I wouldn't even call us friends, but we're friendly and on good terms. And I have so much admiration for her. And obviously I know through those guys how much they value her as a friend and as a teammate. Okay, guys, we are running out of time. 5 minutes. I think that was time well spent, though. Let's do a quick score roundup. So, I mean, this first match happened. We are Thursday today, September 25th, recording this episode of the broadcast, and the first match that was played as part of week 23 happened more than a week ago. So really quick. So Ottawa Rapid were playing their second and third matches in 8 days, similar to the Tide. So really tough scheduling for them. So that opening match saw the Ottawa Rapid win 2-1 over the Wild. Then the Roses dispatched of the Tides at Stade Boréal 2-0. They clinched their spot to the playoffs. And it should be mentioned as well that the Rapid did the same with their victory over the Wild. Then a Vancouver Rise team looking for redemption after a 7-0 drubbing that they took at the hands of AFC Toronto the week before fell again, or at home at Swangard. So they've conceded 10 goals in the last 2 games, not scored. They lost to the Rapid 3-0. And then the last match of the week saw AFC Toronto and the Halifax Tides share the points. So that ended in a 1-1 draw. And that was a great result, I thought, for the Tides, because AFC Toronto started with exactly the same lineup that beat the Vancouver Rise 7-0 the week before. So again, here into standing. So AFC Toronto still tops. 22 games now that the top 2 teams have played in the Toronto and the Ottawa Rapids. So sitting on 42 and 36 points respectively. So those guys have clinched. 3 games remaining. The Roses are on 21 games. They're in third at 35. The Rise, again, still looking to clinch. They're on 32 points. And then the Wild are on 20. And in 6th place, the Halifax Tides are on 14 points. And then right into our best 11. So it should be said, Signa, you sent a bunch of different shouts.
I did.
And I took most of them, it should be said, and a couple of additions. But I think this is a pretty even split, a pretty good representation. Sigs, why don't you start us off here, of all 6 teams? Because even the Wild, who have been struggling for form lately, had some good performances. And I already mentioned the Tides in their 1-1 draw, who did quite well too.
Yeah, I would say Sarah Olai from the Halifax Tides. I'll just start there in the back, center back. Played 90 minutes, I believe, in the last 2 matches, and may have even played 90 in the last 3, but I'd have to go back and check that. But definitely the last 2. I thought it's been just really consistent for the Tides this season. I'm just starting there with Halifax, of course, because that's usually who I start with.
Don't apologize. Just go into it.
Just go into it, right? And then the midfield, I know Vancouver's lost, but Quinn has been outstanding.
Yeah.
I am so glad to see them playing the kind of football that we expected to see of them. And just as really especially this back half of the season, now that injuries behind Quinn, playing Shireen's going to talk about the pirouette turn for sure, but that was
yeah.
So those are my shout outs. I think I agree with everybody. The back line, I think, was my back line.
Actually, I think I added Hill
Oh, did you add Hill? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with Hill being there at all. But, Jaleesa Harris, obviously losing the Iron Woman streak, I know is painful, but because they played 3 matches in 8 days, now Emma Regan's the only one with the Iron Woman streak going in the NSL.
Before you launch into your standout, Shireen, I just want to say really quick for our audio listeners. So Mel Dajna, clean sheet in net for the Ottawa Rapid. Our backline is Grace Sturdy of the Wild, Sarah Olai of the Tides, Jaleesa Harris of the Ottawa Rapid, Steph Hill, who scored another goal, I think is up to 5 now on the year for the Montreal Roses. Midfield 3 of Emma Regan, as Sigs just mentioned, the lone Iron Woman who's played every single minute for her club, AFC Toronto. Quinn for the Vancouver Rise, Sid Kennedy, strong performances across 2 matches for the Tides, and then Noemi Paquin, who scored again for the Roses, DB Pridham, who just continues to be in scintillating form for the Rapid, and Esther Okoronkwo, who scored one from the spot for AFC Toronto.
I agree with Signa. But also Desjardins has impressed me week after week after week. I want to say that. I think that particularly last match, Ottawa, and that, well, on the weekend, last weekend anyway. I do. Sig is absolutely correct in saying that. I will talk about Quinn and how fantastic they're playing. Their passes, their attention to detail, their maneuvering, even though they weren't successful on the weekend. Quinn is quinning, and I love it.
Yeah, but now they have to translate it into winning.
So quinning to winning.
Winning,
love
yeah.
it.
Quinn it to win it.
Win it to win it. But I said this on the broadcast. Like, what else can they do? Those passes are beautiful. Like they're anticipating space. Like, it's just the finishing was a problem. We can talk about, I had said the football goddesses, sometimes they want things a certain way. It's frustrating that Quinn is performing this way, but the team isn't sort of like aligned with that. So that's absolute standout. I do want to say Naomi Paquin also got Rookie of the Week, I believe, which is really incredible. Happy for her. Like, happy to see that. I feel like we shout out Esther every week, and it's duly deserved. I did like her little run-up performance from the spot. Didn't she run up and then
a little stutter step?
A little stutter step. I like that. I like those antics. I appreciate that theatrical sort of presentation.
Well, you know what? Sorry, Shane, we're going to have to ask our goalkeeper guest, our very special guest, who's going to be joining us very shortly, what she thinks of those types of antics.
Stutter steps. Yeah. So, and of course, at the top is DB Pridham, who I just think should just stay there.
Well, she's basically cemented. Like, I don't think I moved the name or the image from that spot as the number 9. I mean, DiFilippo's been there a couple times, but I think when DiFilippo's been there as the 9 or Esther, then I think I just shuffle Pridham around.
Yeah.
She's been so consistent. And we talked about it even last week, a match where she didn't play that well, still managed to get the winner versus Calgary. So that's what she does. Like, I remember Abby Wambach being like that for the U.S. women's national team, was always dominant, but sometimes during a match, and Tiffany Milbrett was also a striker like this, where you would forget about them, and then it was to your detriment. They almost lulled you into complacency, thinking that you were safe, that you'd done the job, and then a last gasp at the death. Remember Wambach's winner in the World Cup? Was it in 2019 or no? It would have been 2015, maybe.
15.
The cross from Rapinoe and the header at the back post. Exactly.
No, Hamara Sawa is one of my favorites. So anything done against her, I have so many Wambach complaints, Amy. We can talk about this later.
Me too when I played against her. But the ability to still hurt you after being nowhere for 89 minutes. And then the dagger blow at the end. Some of the best strikers in the men's game can do that to you as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, DB continues to be extremely impressive. But I want to go back to Vancouver for a second, because we were calling that game, the 3 of us, last week. And you look at the stats, and we've talked about, you can have all the possession, that's fine, but it needs to be purposeful. It needs to be intentional. But they were purposeful with their play. They were creating wide overloads. They were pulling Ottawa apart. They were finding pockets right above the 18, getting shots. Abdu had a couple of shots that threatened. You had Quinn, a few shots from distance. You had Pechersky cutting in from the right, the ball on her left foot. We know that she really likes that bending ball to the far post, but they just were unable to convert. But you look at the body of work across, especially that first 45, they really merited more. And then flat in the second half, and that's when Ottawa they came to life with only about 30% possession, but going against the run of play, hitting on the counter, and they were ruthless when it was required.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things, though. If you just can't convert it, you can't make it happen. I mean, realistically, we can talk about the plays, creating space and being creative. But at the end of the day, this game is judged in the amount of balls that go into the back of the net.
Yep.
Like, it's that simple. And they weren't able to do that. And you're right. Like, I've just talked about Quinn and the Roulade for so long and how much I loved it. I love them as a player, showcasing what they can, quinning about, but it just doesn't happen if the ball doesn't, like, if you don't cross that goal line, it don't matter.
Yeah, it's true. But I did like what I saw from them. So if they're able to add that layer, that little spark, maybe it just takes one and then the floodgates open and they refine that form that they had for that 8-match unbeaten run. I really do want them to be able to clinch.
A mental piece too this time. Those are some of my questions on the coach's call. Like, this is a mental issue now. Like, you go, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we saw the table a second ago. Sig, you would know this. The most fluctuation I've seen in the standings since the season has been Vancouver, up at 1 and then gone down, and there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I feel like they're in 4th now. Maybe the Roses, but I don't think the Roses have been in 4th to my record for a while, but Vancouver has really truly fluctuated quite a bit. So that's like solidifying that mental piece, and part of the game is really important at this point for Anya Heiner-Moller.
For sure. Well, I heard a little bing bong, and maybe I will not bring them in just yet. Says device is not connected. So fear not, dear viewer and listener. We will have Erin McLeod shortly. We'll give her like a second here, I think, to figure out the camera. But I was saying I would like to see Vancouver clinch, but from Halifax's perspective, they're coming off a really convincing result where, of course, they would have liked to have stolen all 3 points versus AFC Toronto. But at the same time, do they sense a vulnerability in Vancouver? Do they see themselves? They've had a little bit more time to recover. Can they sort of thwart, again, a 3rd attempt in a row to try to secure playoffs from Vancouver's perspective?
Well, there's certainly incentive there,
Yeah.
Vancouver team coming in and beating them 6-0 on their home turf. I think that's incentive enough to, and what interim coach Stephen Hart has been saying is it's about performance at this point of the season. Yeah, the table's away from us. We don't, we're not worrying about the standings and, getting to the playoffs. We can't do that. We're eliminated. But what we can do is act like professionals for our badge and for our community, and play like professionals the rest of the season and move up the table as much as we can. And absolutely, they want to have points at home. Absolutely. But I also see Vancouver, and I talked to Samantha Chang about this earlier this season, when they came in on a business trip and came in and won 6-0. So I don't know. It just depends on, I think, a lot of that mental aspect that Shireen's been talking about.
Can I have a business trip in life where I come out on top 6-0? Like, what would that be?
You always win.
Let's ask E-Money. Erin McLeod, upon second attempt, changed her tagline at the bottom. E-Money, you have access to the studio. Welcome to the broadcast, my friend.
Thanks, everyone. It's so nice to be here, a little bit tardy, but I'm here. Hey,
you're not stressed. I hope you're not stressed.
Always, actually. That's how I live my life now. Constant stress.
Well, legend that you are, I'm just going to give the people a little refresher on who you actually are, in case they don't know. 119 caps for Canada, 4 World Cups, 2 Olympic Games, bronze and gold medals, obviously an impressive pro career in the NWSL, Sweden, Iceland, and the Halifax Tides inaugural signing. You've just recently announced your retirement, but you're in it. You're doing all the things. You're working with the Inter Halifax Soccer Club as a technical consultant, head of player development, and you've continued your role as equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility consultant with Halifax City Soccer Club. So you don't have very much going on. How do you feel?
You know, I put all the lights on in this room in hopes that I would look less tired. But unfortunately, no. Also, I'm a very proud mother. I think that's maybe number one on my list. But
Yeah.
I am overwhelmed. But I'm so grateful for all the things that I'm tackling right now. I wish there were more hours in the day, but I was determined to do everything that I could to make a difference, and on and off the field. So I'm staying true to that until the end of our season, and then I'll turn into a pumpkin, and then maybe have a couple weeks where I'll just turn my phone off and no one can get in touch with me. So, sound nice? Does that sound nice?
It sounds lovely. So I think in my really verbose intro, where I forgot to mention that you're obviously a mom and a partner as well, like that should be top of the list. You're absolutely right. But that's Erin McLeod. I don't think I said your name.
Oh,
I said e-money. So it's very lovely to have you here. But in addition to all that stuff that you're filling the hours of the day with, like how is your role now shifted? You've announced your retirement, but what does your day-to-day look like now with the Tides?
essentially now it's kind of this interesting role. No one's really defined it, so I'm just kind of doing whatever. But I try to be around when I can. I take leadership very seriously, and I've been surrounded by so many wonderful leaders that it's interesting every time you step away as a leader from an environment. The hope is new leaders come in and kind of fill up the space, right? Because now they finally have the opportunity. And so I'm very conscious of that. And I think leaving the Tides, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't too overbearing. Like, I have quite a strong personality when it comes to being on the field. I'm very loud, some would argue obnoxious, and I have quite a presence. And so I've been so mindful of trying to step away and let people kind of shine. But I couldn't help myself before the last game. You know, we've had a rough season. We haven't had a lot of wins. And I think because Amy, by the way, you're fabulous in the documentary. The pitch, just going to put that out there.
Thanks, friend, right back at you.
But watching it, it was a wonderful refresher of the people before me and the amount of work that has gone into making this league a reality, and how fortunate we are. And even if the Tides are losing, there are young people of all genders wearing like full kit on game day, and they're smiling ear to ear, and they understand how important this is. And so it's important that we remember that. And I kind of reminded them all that, you know, in life we have two things we're totally in control of: our vibe, the vibe that we bring, which I think is so important, and then the effort. And no one can take that from us. And you know, so I kind of slid into the locker room and said that. And I think I would regret not saying that. But other than that, I try to kind of distance myself. And but when I'm around training, you know, it's just small habits that I notice with some of the players, and just kind of small reminders. And I like home games because I get to say whatever I want from the box that I'm sitting in. And but you know, I'm just such a fan. Like, I am decked out in merch. I was at a Ritzy the other day, and the lady was like, "Oh my God, are you a big Tides fan?" I was like, "I am." And she's like, "You go to the games?" I'm like, "I haven't missed one." And
Did you not tell her?
Eventually Gunny was like, "Erin," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." but yeah, I'm so proud of the league, and I just kind of keep reminding people that this is a blessing.
Just jumping in there, like, Erin, you know, it's a brave thing for someone to come into an unknown entity. And I know you've been asked this before, but like, you lent your name, your brand, your belief in this league. And from a Halifax native, I first want to say thank you. It is so important for that region, Erin. Like, you know this from being there, and your sister being there. just what they're building. And I just wonder, like, from your perspective, is it everything that you expected? I know aside from the wins and losses, but is it everything you expected to see in terms of growth from like interest and from support?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I was not that nervous about signing, let's be honest. When I had the conversation, I didn't know if they wanted me to coach or play. So I was like, I don't know where they see me in the picture, but coming over, like, I cried. I remember when, like, we did the unveiling of the locker room at the Wanderers grounds, and it's if anyone's had a chance to see it, it's beautiful, and it's a space that's been created just for us. And I think it's so powerful. And the first time we showed up, we had like all this like Canadian Tire stuff, a cooler just like full of gear and swag, and it, like, this is such a, the women's sport movement is just, it's still like, it's new, right? And for athletes to be treated like this, like in Canada, you know, and then just like the social media and the way that all of you have done a fabulous job of your commentating. It's so professional, the way that it looks, you guys know what you're talking about. Just like all these different pieces that are so important to doing things right. I'm constantly just proud, totally super exceeded all my expectations. I was, of course, a little uncertain about playing, but never uncertain about the commitment to doing anything that I could to be a part of this. And I'm grateful even though I'm not playing, I'm grateful every day just being at the, like I said, the Wanderers grounds, and people, like, seeing people's faces, and just the spaces that it's created for women my age. You know, there's so many women that are like, this was never a possibility when I was growing up, and I'm so grateful. And like, just all the different people and demographics and groups that it's impacted, like, that has been just so powerful. And like, you know, absolutely no regrets. I'm so happy to just be a small part of it.
Just to jump off what Sig was saying, because we're from the same place and we're talking about this. I remember when the Wanderers grounds weren't even there for men's football. Like, they were just nothing behind Bengal Lancers. Like, it was a space. And like, to see there now, and then and I tend to look like sort of sociologically at things and the impact of that I mean, Sig and I are older than you, Erin, but what this has meant to people us and older than us is huge. And I think that's part of what it is. You have to be a certain age to love women's soccer. Nobody is ever you can be as young as you want and as old as you want. And it's the fact that everyone has taken a piece of this and said, yeah, I want part of this too, I think is really, really special. Like, you know, like, I have an old neighbor, and she would complain about the traffic. Like, since I was like 3, I remember her. You know, she's quite old now. She's in a assisted facility place in Bedford, and she would complain about traffic. And I'm like, yeah, but Auntie Mary, there's 4 cars on the Bedford Highway right now. Like, it's not really not traffic. But
Right.
And then she'll be like, you know, I tried to go into town to see my doctor, and there was a game, and there was all this traffic. And but she kind of laughed, and she goes, well, that's good traffic. That's okay. So there's reasons why it's okay to have traffic. And I just thought it was really cute, because she's 86 and they watch matches whenever they can to the grounds. Like, it's not possible. It's difficult for her to be in person, but so Sig and I are going to come to a game, not to work, but just to kind of hang out and yell back at you from your box, from wherever we are. And like, I told her, I'm like, are we working? Or are we not working? She's like, I think we're kind of going to work, but because part of the love that we have is to do stories and but also to literally, like, I could cry standing in those stands, and just like, I wouldn't have believed you 10 years ago if you told me this was going to happen about 30 years ago. 40 years ago. If you told me there would be a professional women's soccer team, I would have been like, I hope so. But like, you know what, maybe 40 years ago, I would have been hopeful, but like, I was like, no, this is it. But it's here, and it's beautiful. And Jocelyn.
Shireen's internet sucks.
She's frozen. She was talking about Jocelyn. So
I
that's
know.
Jocelyn. I was thinking
Yeah.
Jocelyn. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she's
Love
a
it.
queen on the grounds. I know, and well, the thing is, I think people who are our age, if I can just say that, I think when you see like it's a social movement, you know what I mean? And this changes, it's like electric, and it's the most powerful feeling. Like when I'm going to the Wanderers ground and I see a group of like boys that are 11 years old and they're like in line to get Tides gear. And like I walk by and I get how powerful that is. You know what I mean? I feel so lucky that I get how big of a deal that is.
Mhm.
And that I also think it's so powerful that they don't think
Right.
it's a big deal because that's what they know. And for me, like witnessing that, like it's kind of what I'm very happy to be retired now, because like when you don't have to dive and hit the ground every day, woo, let me tell you. But again, just like walking to the grounds all the time, I'm like, we are, and I know we've said we're making history with this league, but when you feel it and you know it, I'm so grateful.
Oh, man, you're killing us right now. You know that.
I'm
I've
like,
been crying
like,
since
what? Am I
before.
allergies? Like, is it allergies?
That's
I'm
it. It must be.
I'm day 2 of my period, so I was surprised that it's right before this.
No, you're right though, because I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys and a girl. My twins are 11 boy-girl twins. And it's hearing just a couple years ago, I've talked about this before in a podcast. My daughter has always played with her brother, with her counterpart, with her peer. And it was not until a couple years ago where she started to get like the taunts in the schoolyard, like, you can't play in the NHL. You won't be able to play pro. And now the retort is built in if she needs it. Because there's the PW, because there's the NSL.
Yeah.
And her brother has never thought twice about it. But now all these kids, like you said, the more powerful thing is not that they consider it an option, but because it's normalized.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible thing. What have you done, Erin McLeod? I can like barely get through this shit. But
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
So it's really, really important, and you articulated it beautifully. I want to ask you about something that, was referenced in the article that Shireen wrote about you when you announced your retirement, that when people think about like the rallying point, like when people truly got behind this women's national team and that momentum kind of carried over to the creation, I think too late, of a pro league in Canada, but it got done, and it was spearheaded poetically and ironically by the player who scored the winning goal, in Diana Matheson. But when you were called for that 6-second rule, the U.S. has awarded the indirect free kick, right? I'm not going to rehash it.
Okay. Well.
We know the moment and how the tide literally turned there in that semifinal, but it was a galvanizing force at that point for the backing of our women's national team. When you were playing at the Wanderers grounds as a starting goalkeeper, I was on the call, and you got called for this new 8-second rule, which at that point, an indirect free kick is not awarded, but a corner kick is awarded. And then the Calgary Wild take that corner kick and they score off of it. What is going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, what's really interesting about that game is I hadn't been that nervous in a really long time. And I've had performance anxiety most of my career, but I was like very, very nervous. And I will say that was not one of my best performances. Probably my worst in a long time, but I to the point where when the call was made, I even looking back, it was like I was a deer in headlights. I was like confused, and then I was like, of course this would happen. And then there was the corner, and it was kind of, and I think it's fair to say that I was just kind of like in awe and nervous and stuck. And after that game, I reflected a lot and just, just kind of having to go back to a lot of the mental preparation, a lot of mindfulness training that I had done for so long with the national team. I think, like in the moment, I kind of, what do? You just like laugh it off. Just kind of like in the Olympics when it happened, like all you can do is focus on the next thing. And maybe I didn't do that the most effectively in this, but it was a kind of a good reminder. And I'm grateful on the one hand that things started that way, first of all, because the fans were amazing, and it was like we had won the World Cup, even though we got smashed that game. Everyone was like, that was such a wonderful game, and I was like, oh my god. Sure. But it was kind of a good learning for me, because I had talked about like committing to the league and committing to coming back, and I worked my butt off for preseason, but I was like, am I going to do this? Am I going to like do this well? Am I going to embarrass myself? I mean, I didn't say it like that, but for me, it was a good turning point that I was like, no, I'm here to play, and I want to improve every game and give it everything that I had. And so it was kind of a rough start, but I was grateful, because I kind of got back into my old habits, which I love, like watching a lot of film, reviewing, challenging my keeper coach, like, how can I do this? Like finding the 1% and 2%, which is why I'm still doing it. And I was happy, even though obviously, the injury kind of ended where I was at. I was happy to improve every game. Like some games I was getting 100% pass completion. There was like things that I was like really going towards that were cool to shift, that I wasn't able to shift when I was still with the national team. Like I wanted to be better at vision awareness. I wanted to be better at all these things that, to be honest, I didn't have the courage, and I got to the point where I'm like, what do you got to lose when you're 42 years old and you've been gifted another season? You got nothing to lose. You just go for it. And so I was grateful for that 8-second call in a very indirect way, because it changed the way that I approached the last games of my career.
I love that. And Shireen's middle name today is Salty. And I think the football goddesses were salty that day, my friend, because how dare you, football goddesses?
Yeah.
Erin McLeod again.
Man, I know.
Oh, well, listen, we have to wrap. I know you have stuff, and I'm sure Shireen and Signa, you guys have tons more stuff to ask Erin, but we have a meeting in 4 minutes. And Erin, you are a very, very busy woman. So thank you so much for stopping by. We could have chatted for another hour, I think, easily. And thank you for embarrassing us and making us blubber like fools.
Oh, no, wonderful. And thank you all. I really have to say how much I've appreciated watching all of the games and all of your coverage. It is fantastic to have such strong, powerful women commentating week in and week out. So I enjoy, because when I'm not able to travel, I'm listening. So I just think it's really wonderful to watch.
So I'm going to take a picture. Okay, smile,
Thanks,
everybody.
Emily. Okay, can I ask a very, very quick question?
Want to do the pick first?
Okay, yes, pick first. Hi.
Okay.
It's fun.
Great.
It's fun. It's not a crying one, but I think all three of us were obsessed with your Canadian Tire spot.
Oh, yes. I wonder, like, jumped in when you were talking.
How many takes was that? Was that like, I feel like you just went in there and like it was like a one-take wonder, and that was just you. Like that.
It was so good.
It's so brilliant about it, because it was.
Thank you. Yeah,
Was
they
that
gave me a script, but I didn't follow one where I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and they were like, well, I'm like, we could check in later, see. And like, yeah, and they cut out a lot of, there was like a Dirty Dancing scene where, when like she runs towards Patrick Swayze and he like lifts her up. I did that on a cart. Like I was vibing. There were so many things, but they were like, we have to keep it under 2 minutes. And I'm like, okay, but
I mean, they could have made it a 2-part
fun.
series, because I would have watched. I know a lot of other people would have watched.
I want to know how many like impressions.
It was so good
in the world of advertising. Like how many people watch that? Like a million.
I think they said that's their best ever with like
with
a partner. I was like, yeah, it was just all off the cuff. There was a lot more. There was some things that was like borderline, like maybe too cheesy, but
not possible. No.
No.
Was that the Canadian Tire? Which location was it?
That.
Was it Quinpool Road is what I want to know.
No, it wasn't Quinpool.
No,
I thought it was like Bears Lake.
It wasn't Quinpool. No, it was like the one in Bedford, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because
It was
Quinpool Road would have been
massive.
by Shireen and I, our old high school.
High
and then we
school.
would have been very excited about that.
That would have been
Oh,
amazing.
I frequent there all the time. I'm a regular. They're like, you're the one, because originally we did the documentary for the pitch. We're going through that Canadian Tire. So I still get ladies at the front. There's two ladies over there like, Canadian Tire. I'm like, or what did they say? They're like, the pitch. And I'm like, hey, ladies. And
And
anyway,
did they
they're
also
very
say,
sweet.
are you a big Tides fan?
Yeah, they were like, nerd alert, here we go. biggest Tides fan. And I am the biggest Tides fan in the country. So
Well,
okay.
we are your biggest fan, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I know all of Canada feels the same sporting wide, not just soccer wise. We are fans of yours, and we can't wait to see what you're up to as this chapter comes to an end.
Oh, thank you very much to all of you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. That's the Broads. Thanks for watching, listening. Broadening your horizons with our friend E-Money, Erin McLeod, everybody.
Money.
Cheers for watching and listening. Thanks, guys.